If you've lived in Portland a while, you've seen your share of homeless camps. But this one is different, not only for its size, it stretches several blocks, but also because of this. See those people walking in the background? Those are students. At the end of this extensive encampment is Marshall High School. 3 times a day, in the morning, for lunch, and after school, the students walk past the tents and the RVs.
It just blew up overnight.
John Schrader lives just down the street. He worries the tents will stretch closer to his place, but he's mostly concerned about the kids.
They all come out this way, too. All the kids come out this way. It's the only way out, I think, to get out on the streets, is to come out right there. And right as soon as they come out of their property, there's a tent right there.
Hi, I'm calling to report a houseless camp that's right next to a high school where children are trying to go to school.
Neighbor Dorothea Braxton is calling 311. That's the number for service needs within Multnomah County. It's the second time she's called to report this camp. She's a nurse and says the encampment is a public health issue. The person on the other end tells her the worst camps get addressed first.
Yeah, but I understand we have this ordinance for children next to the school. They become priorities, so kids won't have to walk, into school and having to deal with, not being able to study and sit down and do their work. And so I understand this is supposed to be a priority.
And Braxton is right. You may remember the mayor's emergency declaration in August, banning camping within 150 feet of schools.
Most of the time I'm freezing.
In nearly every homeless situation, there are victims all around. Clearly, neighbors are impacted, but so are people like Tiffany Simonson. She's 42 and has mostly lived in the back of her car on this street for 6 months after escaping an abusive relationship. She tells me she can't get city services because she has 2 dogs, that most of the time she's freezing and often hungry. She doesn't feel safe, especially at night.
I want to be able to have my own apartment or my own place to call home. I don't want to be living out of my car forever. That's my goal.
My mom is elderly.
Michael Hansen's goal is to keep his mother safe. He grew up in this neighborhood. He moved to Beaverton, but Mom and his brother still live nearby.
I grew up here when you could ride your bicycle through Eastport Plaza. I went to Marshall High School, and so did he, so did most of my family. And now you see this.
Multnomah County has been conducting its point-in-time count for the last week. It's a census of how many people are experiencing homelessness on a given night. A neighbor told us they were informed that the camp here wouldn't be moved until after the point-in-time count. When we reached out to the Joint Office of Homeless Services to find out if camps weren't being cleared until after the census, they told us yes, it's true, saying the somewhat limited exception this year is parts of Old Town, which saw some folks relocated to accommodate the Lunar New Year parade. And that brings us back to Dorothea Braxton and her call to 311. She wants to know when this massive encampment will be moved so that students have a clear path to high school. She's told she'll be put on a list. How do you feel after making that call?
Not supported at all.
Not supported at all. And that's the prevailing sentiment throughout the city, whether it's Tiffany Simonson forced to sleep in her car or neighbors who've had enough but don't know where else to turn. Here on Southeast Bush, they'd like to revert back to when things weren't so chaotic. But like so many, they're starting to forget what that looked like. I sent an email to the mayor's office asking why this camp has been allowed to continue so close to a school for so long. They told me in part the Street Services Coordination Center has been actively working in this area for the past few months. We dedicated significant resources to this area prior to the school year starting. Unfortunately, we find that many people move back to sites immediately after they are cleaned. We are simply unable to maintain that level of service in one area when there are hundreds of encampments throughout Portland that also need attention. They reminded us that the mayor is working to develop temporary alternative camping sites. And a breaking news update here. The city now tells me they have posted that encampment for removal and are scheduled to remove the camps in the coming days, calling it a top priority. We checked today. The camp is still there, but it is posted for removal, and several of the vehicles have tow notices. And as for Tiffany, the homeless woman living in her car you saw, I'm hoping to follow her story to see if she gets the help that she needs. Thanks for watching this story from K2 News. Be sure to click below to subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch K2 News at 6 for more stories and investigations. K2 News is on your side.